Okay, so today I want to talk about something that's known as the Monty Hall Problem. This originally came from a game show in the 60s, 70s, and I believe into the 80s. And the math behind it is extremely counterintuitive. Uh, Ever since somebody pointed this out, a whole bunch of math nerds went nuts, and they continue to do so today. So I want to talk about why. So we're going to just sort of model this up right here. So we already have a good start. We have our three doors, and we have our host, Monty Hall, with his 70s lapel and award-winning smile. So we also need a contestant. So let's get one of those over there. And they're just very happy to be here. And they're completely naked because I don't feel like drawing clothes right now. So, the way the game goes is Monty invites the contestant to choose a door. So we're gonna use the roll of a die to do that. So 1 and 2 will be door 1, 3 and 4 will be door 2, 5 and 6 will be door 3. So the contestant chose door 3. So the next step in this game is Monty Hall will open one of the remaining doors and reveal what's behind it. So Monty Hall reveals door 2. It has a goat behind it. So the next step in this game is Monty asks the contestant if they want to switch. And so basically the contestant at this point can say, I don't want door 3 anymore, I want door number 1. So we will do that as well with the roll of a die. So if the die rolls 1, 2, or 3, that will be switch. And if it rolls 4, 5, or 6, that will be stay. Okay, so the contestant has decided to switch. And so their choice is no longer 3, it is 1. So he now does the big reveal. So door number 1, the contestant's door, what did they win? They won the car, which means they avoided. So the counterintuitive nature of this game comes back to this point right here. It's the switch that really kind of turns this into something that almost feels paradoxical. We will discover later on when I show you the sort of a large-scale mathematical model of this that it is not paradoxical at all, but it does feel it. So at this point, the contestant has the choice to switch between these two doors. And it's the choice between two that really makes this feel like, well, it's a coin toss. The car is behind one of these two doors and a goat is behind the other. So does it matter if I stay on my current door, or does it matter if I switch? So the way this feels, let's get rid of some of this here. At this point, the contestant has not decided whether they want to switch or not. And so the way it feels is switch or no switch. It feels like there's a 50% chance of winning either way. However, there is not a 50-50 chance here. So your chances of winning, get rid of the feels, bring in the reals. The chances of winning if you switch are actually 66.6%, on and on. And if you don't switch, your chances are obviously what's left. So that's 33.3 repeating. So why is this? Well, now we're going to switch over to a mathematical model on a computer, and we're going to play around with some things. We're going to run multiple tests on this, and we're going to change the number of doors. We're going to go down to 2 doors, and we're going to go up to 20 doors. And we will, I believe you'll see on either side of that why this is correct. So now we are looking at some Python code. It is not clean Python code. It's not good Python code. I'm not a good coder. This is not a coding channel. I just want to run through this very briefly and show you all of the components of the game are present. The first component is we're going to create some doors. Then we're going to place a car randomly behind one of those doors and goats behind the others. And then the contestant is going to choose a door at random, and then Monty Hall is going to reveal what's behind all of the other doors except for one. The contestant is then going to decide whether to switch or not switch, another random choice here, and then there is the big reveal. And down below this we just have some other code that allows us to run repeated iterations of this, increase the number of doors in between batches of iterations, and spit out everything into a CSV file, which we can then do some analysis on. The part of this that I wanted to focus on is this reveal doors section here. In coding this, the paradox for me kind of fell apart at this point, because Monty Hall is essentially going to have 2 things that he can do here. He is going to look at the remaining doors, in other words, all the doors that the contestant did not pick, and if the car is behind one of them, well, then he has to leave that door closed. He's not going to reveal a door that the car is behind, and he knows which door the car is behind. So, if the car is behind one of the remaining doors, in other words, if the contestant did not guess correctly on the first try, he will have to leave that door closed and reveal all the other ones. That means that no matter how many doors you have, in the actual TV game show they use 3, but you can imagine if we had 100 doors. If you have 100 doors, the odds that the contestant guessed correctly on the first go is 1 in 100. That means that the car has a 99% chance of being behind any of the remaining doors. And what Monty Hall is going to do here is he is going to keep that door closed and reveal all of the other doors, therefore collapsing that 99% possibility down to a single door. And we will look at the results here, and you'll see this very clearly. Now here we have our raw results. We have what the simulation spat out, which is a column containing the number of doors, which you'll see increases after several hundred iterations. I believe I ran 500 here, yeah. Each number of doors has 500 iterations going for it. So 500 of 2 doors, 500 of 3 doors, so on up to 20. We have another column that records whether the contestant switched, and we have another column recording whether or not they won. So from there, we can actually do a pretty good bit of analysis on this. So I've already done that here. So here we are looking at the counts of how many times they switched and didn't switch, how many times they won and did not win, and the total number of wins. And so now we're actually able to calculate some win rates based on whether the contestant switched or whether they did not switch. And so you can clearly see here that switching gives you a better result. And you can see that at door count equals 3, that our results are very close to what I mentioned earlier. 33% was what I predicted for the didn't switch side, and 66.6% was what I predicted for the switch side. Now, in our simulation, even at 500 iterations, there's going to be some variability. the contestants are choosing randomly, this should be fairly close to the sort of variability that you would see in the real world. And so what we have here, just to the right, is a simple calculation of what are the probabilities of getting it right on your first guess. So if you were to just take a single guess, Monty Hall is not there to offer you the option of switching later. What is your expected outcome? What are the probabilities for your expected outcomes given the number of doors that you have on stage and you're just allowed to take a single guess at them? And you'll notice that in this column, these numbers perfectly match the didn't switch. That makes sense because that's exactly what you're doing if you don't switch. You're going with your first guess. And then this column over here is just the remaining probability. You'll see that it's simply what's missing on the left. And that is due to the fact that Monty Hall is collapsing the rest of those doors down to a single door. So even though you end up with a choice between two doors in the end, those two doors are actually a large probability in the case that you started with 20 doors. It is the 95% chance that you did not guess correctly on your first try collapse down to a single door. This collapsing probability, if you really look at it as sort of this game existing at a particular number on the spectrum of doors, from 2 to 20, it all comes down to the fact that you have to pick one door. And if there's only one more door remaining, then yes, it is a coin toss. It is 50-50. But at 3 doors or any other number of doors, if you choose one door, there will be more than one door remaining. And therefore it would be more likely that the car would exist in one of those other doors. And the rules of the game collapse that possibility down to a single door. And that's the whole seeming paradox. It completely vanishes once you imagine things happening across this spectrum of doors. Thanks for watching.